Alright, so as you may have noticed, I actually wanted to combine this a little bit to make it smaller. I'm going to go ahead, select all of these, tap C to make a comment, and I'm going to call this initial check for knight underscore PCBP. There. Okay, so there's one. After it does that, remember this is now when we can, and I'm not going to print that string anymore, I don't need that. So that's good, actually. I can make this a little bit smaller. Push that in there. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start off that, what it needs to check for. And so here we go up 300, right? And so this whole code right here goes up 300, up 600, checks for tile, white, Y to the right, 300. Okay. And so I guess I might actually change this to go up 300, and you'll see why in a second. This will say x equals up 300. Number one, this reset tiles will stay here. I may actually move this down to here, and I may move these over here since I am going to reuse those. There. And now I can actually drag this into here. I'm going to maybe bring these down a little bit over here and, okay, do that. All right, so I don't know what that was for. I want this to go up 300. What I'm doing is I'm taking this checker and I'm moving it to a new location, 300, and then I'm going to come over here and say if get overlappings of checkers, get component static mesh, get, oh right, if it overlaps a static mesh, if it gets a new tile, then it's going to say, then it's going to come over here, all right? And if it doesn't, it's going to say, that's right, it's going to kind of continue on to nothing there. And if it does, it's going to kind of move up 600 again. Okay. From its original location. I'm going to change this around a little bit because we've already moved this tile 300. Let's just go ahead and move it 300 more. But we're not going to get the default scene root. We are going to get the world location of the checker, and we will add it to 300. We'll add 300 to it. I think that's going to work. That should work. And then again, all of this stuff is the same. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to take this up 300, and I'm going to turn all of this into a function. Up 300, you know what? Up 300, check for tile. This is what I'm going to turn into. Oh, does this not do anything? This doesn't do anything right here. I can get rid of that. Okay. I'm going to relay this. I know, sorry this has been 4 minutes. So it's taking this thing, it's moving it up 300 and checking for the tile. I'm going to right click this and say collapse nodes to function. I hope that works. Did it work? Why did it fail? Branch is connected. Found too many output connections. Okay. Branch is connected to set world. Previous found it. Print string. Set material. Dang it. Okay, here we go. Let me pause this for a sec. Alright, I'm going to do this one little step at a time. First, I'm going to say set world location of this checker. I'm going to select all of this. This is fine. And I'm going to right-click it, and I'm going to say collapse to function. And I'm going to call that a name. Right now that created a new function right over here under functions, construction script. Oh, that's just the construction script function. I'm going to call this function y set y 300. Plus 300. Set y plus 300. Enter. Good. So that makes a function, and I can double click in here, and it's going to say, hey, it's going to do all of this stuff. Now, let's go ahead. This is the cool thing about this function. Right now, set 3, I'm going to click set y plus 300. I am going to say, hey, input. It really has no inputs except for this. Okay? So I'm going to give an input, and that input is going to be a static mesh. Static mesh. And I'm going to compile that. Okay? And this static mesh, see how now it says new parameter. I'm going to call this, oh, I can call it here. And this needs to be checker. Compile that. And I can drag this into the target. Oh, why not? Okay, let's try this again. This should be a static mesh actor? Maybe? Maybe. I didn't like how that worked. Let's see. This should be a static mesh component, maybe. Compile that. There we go. And so now I'm going to delete this checker here. I'm going to X out of set y plus 300. And this now has checker. And I'm going to make sure I drag the checker up to that point. Compile that. Save it. Okay. Now, this function will take that checker and put it into that target spot. Okay. The next thing it needs is, we'll take here, I'm going to leave this scene root here. We're going to take this number and we're actually going to make this a pin as well. So I'm going to select this set y 300. I'm going to add another input, and that's going to be an integer, and I'll call this units to move. Num units, how about? Num units for number of units. Compile that. Okay. And that num units is going to go right here. And it changed it because, of course, this is a float. I guess I should have done that, but I'm okay with an integer. There. Compile that. Save it. And come back to the event graph and say now it has total number of units. I can type in 300 here. Or if I have a variable that I set up for like int here, I guess int 1, int 2, I'll call int 1, int 3. No, I'll keep it as int 1. You could have done this and said, you know what, I'm going to set that up to int 1. Because int 1 is 300. All right. So it has an output, and that output is going to go to checking for a tile. Okay. So now it's much easier to kind of put this in to understand this whole scene. Did we have another output I needed to be worried about here? Nope. That's pretty much it. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is drag this over here, and I can actually move this comment and make it much smaller. There. Everything that goes on in this little function. Great. This checks for collision with Brian rules component. Okay. So what we want to do is turn this into a function as well. Let's see if we can do, it's got to check for a condition. I don't know, can I actually collapse this? Nope. And I think it's because of this. So let's go ahead and say, can I collapse this to a function? I can, but it won't compile. Let's see. Let me pause this. Okay, so this is making a lot more sense as I've spent probably a half hour while this has been paused. And I need to set all of this stuff up, and this has been in our original one, but you know where I'm going to put it? I'm going to put this checking, which used to check for collision over here, and then it would use this branch. Instead, I'm going to kind of select all of this, copy it, place it in that set y plus 300, okay? And I'm going to paste it in here, and I'm going to include a branch in here. And if this condition is true, okay, how do I do that? I said contains. Oh, I need to get the name of the thing, and I didn't get that. Get display name contains. Okay, contains the word static return value. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, I'll say that. Actually, I should say, does it contain the tag? Where do I have a tag? Yes, yes, yes. Sorry about this. It should say tag. Let's see. Tag. Actor has tag. And that tag is tile. And if we can do that, get. If actor has tag tile, then we do a branch. There we go. Let me go ahead and select this. Now, let me compile this. I think it's going to be there. When I compile this, I actually need an output. And that output is going to be a Boolean. And this will be true. And I'm going to add another one, and it's going to be false. Okay? And now I'm going to bring this return value over here. And now this function has two outputs that it could possibly do. Oh, is that true? Let me pause this for a second. Alright, sorry, I goofed up again. So what I'm doing, I'm still having this return node because I want a Boolean out there. And it's just going to be a question. Is that true or false? And so what I'm going to do is get rid of this branch that I thought was going to be so good. I'm going to click this into the return node. And then I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to say this return value. Here, I don't need this. Now all it's saying is, hey, while you're in here, set this up like that. Is this checker, after it's moved, is it overlapping something with the tag tile? Yes or no? I'm going to compile that, save it, come out here, and actually print. I'm going to get rid of this, just to see that I've done it right. I'm going to print whether it's true or false. Let's go and play that. It should say true. False. Damn it. Okay, so I had to change it up a little bit. I had to say, you know what? That's right. I have to get that actor, then get the component by tag, and then get a copy. I dragged out get copy. Component has tag, yes or no. And now when I push play, yay, it's true. Wonderful. All right. Next video, we'll explain that even more.